everybody, welcome in. It is the Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Welcome in. Happy Tuesday. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
Happy Monday for you. No, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I just said it was a Tuesday. No show yesterday. We're at it today. We welcome everybody back in. Yeah, I feel like, again, we've been so hit or miss on the show as of late. It's like I can't remember what the hell we left off from the last time. But we got some Olympic stuff to talk about today. Post-Olympic recap, of course. LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant all playing in their final Olympics, or have they? We'll discuss that. Cincinnati Bengals camp update. Jamar Chase's sit-in continues, but has it turned into a sit-out? He did not report to practice today.
Shame.
We had, Solomon Wilcots, former Bengal, joined us on Off the Bench earlier this afternoon. We do have that conversation with him coming up around the corner while everyone's focusing on the drama with the Jamar Chase contract situation. He's adding more drama to it because he thinks it's an absolute travesty that the Bengals do not have a deal done with T. Higgins either. So very interesting conversation with Solomon Wilcots that we do have coming up around the corner. We have our Ohio State Buckeyes camp update as well with Paul Keels coming up at the top of the hour. So, yeah, I'd say we have a thing or two to dive into, including the AP Top 25, which not a whole lot to go off of there. But, again, it's college football, and we're weeks away from the season kicking off.
I'm ready, man. I mean, not even weeks. I mean, the college football season, week 0, kicks off next Saturday. You got Florida State and Georgia Tech in Ireland, the first game of the season, noon on ESPN. So week 0 is next Saturday. So starting next Saturday, the 24th, I'm officially unavailable for anything on Saturday.
So it really gets underway.
Yeah.
Here in Ohio State's opener coming up here in a few weeks.
Yeah, the 31st, yep.
The 31st. That's what, 2
2 weeks
today?
away.
Oh, we're 2 weeks away?
Watch your mouth.
We are 2 weeks away from the college football season.
Well, you got high school football next week.
Oh. Who we have? Alter.
We like to keep it local in the first week.
Alter and Fairmont. We officially kick off the high school football season here on 1410 ESPN Radio next Thursday night. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and myself. I think this is year number, I want to say we started this in 15. So this is year number 9.
Wow.
We've been doing this for 9 years, calling high school football on 1410 ESPN Radio and on our sister station, 101.5 Hank FM. So that's pretty exciting. And again, we'll kick it off with Alter and Fairmont, Battle of Kettering coming up next Thursday.
Rivals.
So pretty cool. I know we have Pick Central and Wayne after that. Talked to the fine folks over at Wayne today. We'll be set up there the following 2 weeks. I forgot who they have. They have a team from out of town coming in.
They have a team from Indianapolis coming to town.
So that's that week 3 matchup. As far as that's concerned, well, if only I had the schedule to pull up right here. In fact, me and KB were just texting about it earlier this afternoon. Where'd it go? Here we go. So Lawrence North at 1.
Yes. Is that where Greg Oden went? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, that doesn't sound familiar for Greg Oden. I remember. Well, see, I just remember the AAU team he played on.
Ohio Red
with those guys. So I don't remember where he played as far as actual football or basketball is concerned. But nonetheless, great schedule lined up, and we'll have all of that up for you to go check out at wingam.com, the high school football season.
That is where Greg Oden played high school basketball. Yep.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Let's get into it. We got some Red stuff coming up around the corner as well. They're back in action tonight. They're starting to pick up steam a little bit in the 4.5 games out of a wild card, and they have some I never want to say winnable series. They have some opportunities. I'll never say anything with the Reds. There's no such thing as winnable series with the Reds coming up. But they do have a very a big opportunity of a schedule coming up here after this series with the Cardinals, and they looked great last night to kick things off. All right, so Team USA comes away with the gold from over the weekend. And, what's wild is I'm watching this, and the thing that, I saw Billy Donlin, who's former coach at Wright State, friends with him on Facebook, and he posted something the other day that actually got me thinking a little bit. I know we talk so much about how the rest of the world is caught up with us, correct? Mm-hmm. You believe that?
Sure.
I believe that. Or just in a natural conversation. Yeah, I would say that's true. You would say that's true. But it got me thinking a little bit because he just started talking about the fact that, yes, although the talent is starting to spread around the world a little bit more, and we're starting to see that as those guys come and they come to the NBA now and they're having success in the NBA. At the end of the day, we want to talk about how the rest of the world has closed the gap on Team USA. The bottom line is basketball in the United States. That's 5 straight gold medals. That's dominance. We could talk about how the world's closing the gap on the talent and all that stuff, and that may very well be true. But as far as the best players, I mean, Jokic is an MVP, very good player. Obviously, you look at Luka Doncic, very good player. Giannis Antetokounmpo. But until we see that LeBron James, and it very may well be Wemby, as of right now, when you look at the LeBrons and the Steph Currys and the Kevin Durant's, and you look at Ants, you look at these guys that the USA continues to develop. It is one of those things where, yes, they may be closing the gap, but let's not act as if the gap still doesn't exist between the United States and the rest of the world from a basketball talent perspective.
Yeah, overall, there's more basketball talent. We talk about guys that were left off of the basketball roster, like the Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown, was not on the basketball roster. And another thing that we also forget that people only talk about every time, the World Championships come around or the Olympics come around is the simple fact is the other countries' rosters are constructed like a basketball team. Ours is not constructed that way. We pick and choose who's gonna go, and we make the best of it. And it's just something that I find just laughable a lot of the times where like a player like a Rudy Fernandez, who's a role player in the NBA, or a Frank Ntilikina, who's a role player in the NBA, or even Dennis Schroeder, who's a pretty good NBA player. They turn into Michael Jordan. They turn into Magic Johnson when they play in FIBA basketball. Well, guess what? In the NBA, it's not FIBA. It's the same game, different rules. You shoot a layup and you knock it off the rim in the NBA, that's goaltending. So you can do those type of things in FIBA basketball. There's shorter quarters. Like I was having this conversation as actually the women were playing, and they always forget this because the scores are so low in FIBA competition. Well, quarters are only 10 minutes as opposed to 12 minutes in the NBA. So you're losing 8 minutes of basketball. And, in our roster, Steve Kerr got a lot of backlash for playing, 6-7 guys. Well, that's normal in the NBA. That's a normal situation. So if you're going to say like, hey, we're going to construct a men's USA basketball team, a la, hey, we're going to build a team like the Celtics. We're going to have this player be our star guy, this player be our lockdown defender, and we're going to build around them. We would demolish everybody. But we're not constructed that way. We have a player like Jason Tatum who can't get minutes. It's not because Jason Tatum's not good at basketball. It's because, hey, man, Devin Booker fits this team better because Devin Booker is a catch and shoot guy. We need more catch and shoot guys on the team. Hey, who's better, Kevin Durant or Jason Tatum? Everybody knows that Kevin Durant is better. I think that Jason Tatum is better than Devin Booker, but what Jason Tatum does is not what Devin Booker can do. Devin Booker, catch and shoot. Jason Tatum, likes to play with his food. He's a creator. He likes to put the ball on the ground. It's the step back game. He's a rhythm player. He's not a catch and shoot player yet. So if we were to construct a team, we would demolish everybody. If we were to play by their rules and say, all right, sorry, we're going to have to put a lot of egos to the side. Yeah, man, we got Drew Holiday, Derek White, and we're going to get this guy, and then we're going to build the entire team around these two star players, and that's how the offense is going to work. Everybody else is going to have to be role players because you look at the roster, the only quote-unquote role players on that team are Drew Holiday and Derek White. Everybody else is a superstar on their team. I guess you could say Bam is a super role player on the Miami Heat, but like he was the only player out there, Bam, that was like, that's basically what he does in the NBA. Play defense, run the floor, dunk on people. Like that's what he does in the NBA. What they were asking Joel Embiid to do is not what he does in the NBA. What he does in the NBA is score the ball. What LeBron does in the NBA, score the ball. KD, score the ball. Steph, score the ball. Get the picture? Everybody scores the ball. So if we build a roster that's strictly about winning the gold medal, we would demolish everybody. But we have to play to egos in the NBA. We have to, predicate to certain people, which is fine because, like you just said, we brought home the gold again.
Well, I mean, and even you want to bring up Nike. I mean, even the dollars involved in this too. Nike, people I know don't really follow exactly what Jaylen Brown was talking about with the drama with. I mean, there's one reason Kyrie's been kind of kept at arm's length away from Team USA. Politics play a role in this stuff as well. So I see that Ryan Roth. What up, Ryan? It's been a while. I know we're going to start seeing a lot of the familiar names as we get closer to football season. But Ryan says that if Steph doesn't put on the Superman cape versus Serbia, old LeBron doesn't get another gold. Steph was the MVP. Look, we could play that game all you want. I mean, the bottom line is if old LeBron doesn't care, it isn't the most consistent player the length of the tournament, Steph Curry and his 16 threes don't get gold either. So we could play that game. Bottom line is everyone played a role throughout this. I mean, Kevin Durant, the first time they played Serbia, if it wasn't him going, 8 for 8 or whatever it was in the first half, 20 points in the first half, I think maybe they beat Serbia, but I think it comes down to the final shot against Serbia if Kevin Durant doesn't have an out-of-body experience in that first half, right? And he was very good the rest of the way, too. Everyone played a role. But you talked about the rules. So Billy Donovan's post that I was referring to, he said that, I've seen so many posts about the international game catching up. The game is global now. We made it global, but we have won 5 straight gold medals. Not sure how that can be viewed as anything other than world domination. Now, he does talk about the fact that we have the best one-on-one players in the world, and the NBA rules promotes, and the NBA rules promotes that, while the FIBA rules do everything they can to take away our individual abilities. Yep. There is true help side defense, and they still call the lead step off the jab or catch a travel, which it is not. So,
100%.
And people do say, by the way, everyone that says, oh, the NBA, all they do is travel, they don't. Now, you're going to find a video of LeBron taking 5 steps in the dunk. Yes, like the officials are missing a call, but like, what we call a travel here, like by the rules of the NBA, technically is not a travel. Right. They get called for traveling in FIBA all the time based on the NBA rules, right? But when I saw that post from Billy, I thought, oh, it'd be perfect to have that conversation with you on the air, because I thought that was very well put. All the strengths that have led to America having the best basketball players in the world, all the rules outside of this country are set up to take away those strengths, and yet still 5 straight gold medals. Yes, the talent around the world is picking up, but the gap, don't know necessarily if that's the case.
No, because there aren't any role players out there as good as our role players. Our role player, like I saw the guy that had that dunk on LeBron James. Oh, yeah. Like it's all this buzz. Like, hey man, the Cavs are going to sign him. Hey, you know what? I'm here for it. Anything to get Isaac Okoro out of the rotation, I'm here for. So please sign him. But I mean, just like, yeah, they have like superstars on their team. Yes, they have a Jokic. Who else they got? Bogdanovic. Very good shooter, did the Melo thing, paid the ultimate consequence. Yeah. You got what? Wemby, you got Rudy Gay. I think, they're very good players, but they're not on the level of the US guys. I mean, it's just as simple as that. I enjoy the games, I enjoy the matchups. And I mean, ultimately, isn't this what the whole 92 Olympics was about? To broaden the game, to get more talent and get more people playing basketball? Because if you think about it, back in those days, the guys were playing soccer. I mean, soccer is still the most popular sport in the world. I know here in the United States, all we talk about is football, and then we talk about basketball a little bit. But, those people were playing soccer. I mean, you go ahead and look at Joel Embiid. You ask him what sport he played growing up. It's soccer. You ask Giannis what he played. Soccer. Like, they're, quote unquote, late bloomers to basketball. But now you're getting guys that didn't play soccer. All they're playing is basketball. So the whole purpose of the 92 Dream Team was to broaden the game and then get more talent on the basketball court, then obviously bring in more dollars because, hey, now we have deals with China to show NBA games all across the globe. So like this, to make basketball a global sport, that's what the 92 Dream Team was all about.
4 gold medals for Kevin Durant, 3 now for LeBron, the first for Steph Curry, which is wild. But that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I told you last week, I'm not big on the Olympics. It's not that, I'm un-American or anything. It's just the Olympics. It's not appointment television for me. But I found as that the interest in basketball, which we knew that would be the most interest of all of the stuff that was out there. It hasn't always been that way. I mean, basketball, it's like people will talk about it because the names of those athletes more than the others, but the intrigue was definitely there. So.
Absolutely. I know we got to go to break, but when we get back, I do want to ask you about some of the backlash that Team USA handled during their run, not only from Noah Lyles, but, from people in our own country that were rooting against not only men's Team USA, but the women's team as well.
I was rooting against the women. You cut Cameron's a couple more Olympic things too, so that's perfect. Want to dive into that. There's a couple discontinued sports that'll be knocked out of the Olympics. One that shouldn't even been in to begin with, but whatever. And then also a couple of ones that'll be debuted in 2028 when the Olympics are right back here in
LA.
The States. So there we go. All right, it's the Kidder and Kev show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We'll get to some Bengals stuff. I'm trying to keep an eye on kind of what's going on with this Jamar Chase thing. I'm not going to overreact to it. He is not at practice today. I'm sure this is a part of Zach Taylor's plan, right? But maybe Jamar's up in the owner's box with Mike Brown. Maybe he's signing a new deal. Maybe they're close to getting a new deal done. I don't know, but that seems to be the talk of camp today. Jamar Chase, who has been a sit-in guy since camp started, is he a sit-out guy? He has not even showed up for practice here today. I'm not willing to stir the pot yet and say that should be something to be concerned about, because who knows? Maybe he's out getting the deal done. I don't know. I have no idea, but we'll keep an eye on that. No doubt about it. All right, it's Kenner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, 518-1410. That's the number if you want to call and jump in on the conversation. You can do so now, 937-518-1410. We will be right back. All right, and we are back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. We are Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Well, football season is fastly approaching, and high school football kicks off, a week from Friday? So Thursday. Well, yeah. Thursday, sorry. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. It's like the first time I've been told that today.
And you're the one working, not me.
Alter Fairmont, Battle Kettering is how we'll kick things off a week from Thursday, week 1 of the high school football season. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and myself will be on the call for year number 9 now. Pretty cool. Excited about that. And that'll be coming up next week. And then Ohio State kicks off, 2 weeks from Saturday?
Yeah, man.
So it's here. It's here. Preseason football last week, you know me. Actually, I will say this: I don't want to get too far off of this because I want to get back to this Olympics. No, we'll wait. I want to talk preseason in a bit because there's a lot of football stuff. Injuries galore right now. There's position battles. There's holdouts, hold-ins, trade demands. I said earlier, I'm not in a trolling mood today. I'm not trying to troll any Bengals fans today. So I will say this: I don't think that the Jamar Chase situation today is something to be concerned about. Jay Morrison even kind of alluded to this. So Jay Morrison tweeted out about an hour ago, looks like this will be the first practice where Jamar Chase is not present. He's usually out here by the time the wide receivers are running routes on air, if not sooner. So that right away has people buzzing and talking a bit. But the reason I'm not too concerned about it yet is because, he could appear later in the practice.
Right.
He could be late. Something could be going on. Jay Morrison also said, that being said, this has all the appearances of being a lighter special team-centric practice before the team travels to Chicago tomorrow for Thursday's joint practice with the Bears. Their week 2 their second preseason matchup this weekend with the Bears joint practice in Chicago. So that's what's coming up. I'm not looking too much into the Jamar Chase thing. I think that's something to keep an eye. Now, he don't show up tomorrow. He don't make the trip to Chicago for the joint practice. Then I'd say, okay, something's going on, right? Like, if he doesn't make that trip, I'd say something's going on.
So for me, it's two things. It could be one or the other. The Bengals are not talking. They basically stood their ground and basically said, no, we said no, and no means no. We're not doing this right here, right now.
Yep.
Or the other thing could be like they had something going and then it fell apart. And Jamar is like, well, this is the only other card I have left is to not show up at all. So it's one or the other.
Yeah, because you see Brandon Ayuk, who's been aggressive in his holdout or hold in, however you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It sounds like he might be. I thought that deal was dead. Then all of a sudden the Steelers comes in. Rappaport today says that the deal's the second offer from the Steelers that does not include a wide receiver is on the table. They're just waiting for San Fran to accept it. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll get into all this more coming up in a bit. I agree. I think right now I'm not going to overreact to it. I think by tomorrow on this show, I think we'll have a good indication of what is going on. I think if they go to Chicago tomorrow to start joint practices, if he's not there, that's a problem. That to me would be a concern. Even though he's not participating in practice, even him traveling with the team for the sit-in, I think that's still, but him not going. But I think he's watching Ayuk be loud. Might get his way. CeeDee Lamb, his thing's been loud. He might get his way. Hassan Reddick just got loud. Mm-hmm. Now the Jets are talking a big game. I could see them.
You think CeeDee Lamb's been loud?
I think. Well, to be fair, Jerry Jones.
I was just about to say that,
but he hasn't been participating in anything or showing up either. Like, he's been very distant. He's not as whatever. But you're right. Probably not as noticeable had Jerry Jones not been Jerry Jones. All right, we'll get more into some football stuff coming up in a moment. Back to the Olympics. I know you had a couple questions. We talked about just obviously the dominance of the men's game over the years with the Olympics. 5 straight gold medals. Well, everyone talks about how basketball's not as good in this country as it used to be. I don't think it's that. I don't think that this country is not as good at basketball as it used to be. I just think that the rest of the world's getting better at basketball. But even with that, 5 straight gold medals shows world dominance. As I talked about that post, Billy Donlin, he's an assistant at Clemson right now. And he was assistant for Beeline at Michigan for a while, former Wright State head basketball coach. But he put that rant on Facebook, and I could not have agreed with it any better. I thought it was very well put. I'm just talking about how the FIBA rules have been put into place to kind of prevent all of the strengths of U.S. basketball players from really taking over, even with all of that. Still taking care of business and getting gold.
Absolutely. Just think about it like this. If there was a track athlete that won the 200 meters 5 straight times, we would be like, oh my goodness, But when it's the men's basketball team, it's ho hum, and it's, well, why didn't you win by more? But I definitely wanted to talk about some of the, probably, I would say, the most un-American things I ever heard in my life over the last couple of days. Aaron Goldhammer, who is the host up there at ESPN Cleveland.
He's been getting a lot of national time.
Yeah, a lot of national time on ESPN radio. Shouts out to him and Golden as well. I listened to their show, and he's originally from Denver, so he's a Denver Nuggets fan. He was rooting for Serbia over the United States because of Jokic. I just thought that was the most insane thing I ever heard.
There'll be a lot of France fans in the coming years with
exactly until what's our guy from Barstool, Portnoy.
Oh, Portnoy, yeah.
He was rooting against the United States because Jason Tatum wasn't getting enough playing time. So for everybody out there that, talks about America this, America that, this country this country that, let's jump into their mentions and tell them how un-American they are for rooting against Team USA because their favorite player wasn't getting enough playing time, or their favorite player plays for their favorite NBA team. I just thought that was insane. Now, obviously, we knew it was going to happen where, some people out there were rooting against the women's team because of Brittany Griner or from Caitlin Clark. That was to be expected going into that because the writing was on the wall. I never in a million years thought somebody would root against Team USA because of their affiliation to an NBA team.
Yeah, so did not know that about Goldham. I didn't know that. And the cool part, so my favorite part about the Olympics now is like, because the talent in the NBA has, so diversified now from out of the country standpoint, that when you watch USA go up against these other countries, like, you are very familiar. Like,
yes,
it's not just role players on these rosters. Like, Serbia is Jokic.
Yeah.
You have Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have like these big time, you have Wemby.
Yeah.
Like, so you have these star players from the NBA that are the face of their country's teams, and they don't have the Avengers like LeBron has with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, or Steph Curry with LeBron and Kevin Durant, or Kevin Durant with Steph and LeBron. I don't know how you want to word it, but that is an interesting dynamic of like, oh, I'm such a big, I don't know, man. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying, like, what if, like, if LeBron, I'm a LeBron guy, if he wasn't from here and he was playing for whatever other team, would I be pulling for that team?
You would not. You would not.
I also don't like this sounds weird. This is why I had to put out the disclaimer last week. I don't know if it makes me un-American. I just don't over romanticize the Olympics. We have, I don't know. I don't over romanticize the Olympics. I thought it was a great basketball game. They just happened to wear USA. I don't know.
It was super fun. So let me let everybody into the world that I live in. And I know a lot of people out there live in this world. I can only speak from my perspective as a Black man. When the Olympics come around, that's when my patriotism goes to level 10. I'm rooting for Team USA through and through. Gold, silver, bronze. Hey, that's what I want. I don't care if you're white, Black, whatever. I don't care. If you're Team USA, that's what I want. When there are no Team USAs in, then I go to people that look like me. Hey, you're from Jamaica, you're from South Africa. Hey, man, I'm rooting for the people that look like me. And the couple friends of mine that I went to high school with were the same way. But like, if they were have family that were Polish or something like that, hey, man, I'm rooting for my Polish roots. I'm rooting for my roots or where my family is originally from. And I've always thought that's how people rooted during the Olympics. Like, wherever they're from, that's who they root for. And then they root for whomever they're closely connected to. I found that out on Twitter. That is not how people root for the Olympics anymore, or at all.
I'm half Hispanic, so I don't really know what I would do. When's the last time Mexico was in the when's the last time they were? I have no clue. I'm just,
well, you're not an Olympics guy.
So, there you go. There you go. So yeah, but no, like, and you're right. And the drama with the WNBA that kind of leaked into the, leaving Caitlin Clark off the roster. And by the way, had she made the roster, they would have found something else to complain about. Griner probably would have been put on the front burner as far as that's concerned with that. But that was expected.
Yeah,
as far as that's concerned. But Diana Taurasi kind of stunk.
No, she didn't. She didn't play.
I just said we got to keep Caitlin Clark off the roster because we have to sit Diana Taurasi. But no, that was she served her time. They represented Team USA. I guess she deserved a send off. There you go. But nonetheless, so the Olympics return 2028. Los Angeles.
I'm going.
So 2028 Olympics in LA is going to be insane. So swimming at SoFi.
Oh,
basketball will be at the Intuit Dome, which now I'm going to sound like exactly. I didn't realize that was the new Clippers arena.
Mm-hmm.
What up, Jacob? He had to correct me on that earlier. But yeah, so that'll be cool. I mean,
yes.
that arena will be around for quite a few years by that point. It's about 4 or 5 years now. So what does that debut this year?
Yes, this year.
So okay, so it'll be a couple years in,
Still
but that'll
smell
be
new.
Yeah, that's going to be a cool spot. Gymnastics will be at Crypto.
Staples.
Staples, just like the shoe, no matter what they call it, if they sell the naming rights. So the discontinued sports, boxing potentially.
Oh man, disheartening.
So boxing potentially, and then breakdancing. No surprise.
Man, that was so cringeworthy. So cringeworthy, the breakdancing. All I could think about was, all the good folks out there in New York who still breakdance, all the good folks out in San Francisco who still love the art form of breakdancing. I mean, just dance in general. Like, whatever the heck we're showing off as breakdancing was not breakdancing. And
interpretive art?
Yeah, like, it's so crazy that you're bringing something new to the world stage. You would imagine you want to get the best of the best. Like, these look like people in breakdancing training. You could have called up, Curtis Blow or somebody from the 80s and said, hey, we want the old school guys to come out and put on a show. You gave us trash, and now it was so bad and it got mocked so bad, it's not coming back. So the Olympics dropped the ball heavily on that one.
Yeah, Randy Scott Jr. on YouTube. What up, Randy? He goes, I get that, Kev, but breakdancing broke our hearts bad.
It did. But I'm just think about it. If you're of age, if you're over the age of 40, somebody that used to breakdance. Somebody that used to get down on that cardboard. And you just imagine, like, if they would have had the opportunity to go back out there and win themselves a gold medal. I mean, we've seen the movie Breaking. Like, it was a great time. It was a great time. I mean, it was just so bad. That's why it was like very robotic and not in a good way.
Yeah. That was
it was laughable.
And that's real. Like, so not gonna lie, for those who don't follow breakdancing, not very familiar with it. Okay, cool. But
good dancing.
I know what good breakdancing is. So my thing is if I'm a comedian for Saturday Night Live, and they'll say, Ken, you're in charge of writing a skit about breakdancing at the Olympics, I wouldn't have to write it. I would just say, hey, can I get a clip from the Olympics in 2024? And I would just air that, and everyone would laugh their arses off. That was wild. That was some wild stuff. It
was so bad that they don't have it up on the NBC site. It's not on their YouTube page.
Like but there was people. So when you go to the Olympics and you're like, man, we got to plan our day. I want to make sure we're at this location for breakdancing. I want to be over here for fencing by the end of the day. And then, the men or women's team tips off tonight at blah, blah, blah. You wasted your time.
Oh,
you picked that. I don't know what was going on at the same time as that, but you picked that.
Very bad.
Nonetheless. So those were boxing and breakdancing, and boxing has not officially been reported, but it does sound like they are, like, that is potentially not coming back. So no boxing, no breakdancing at the next Olympics. The new sports that'll be here starting in 2028 when the Olympics come to the United States, which will be in Los Angeles, baseball and softball.
Yes.
We talked about this on Off the Bench earlier. Very curious to see if a lot of American players, or a lot of Major League Baseball players, opt to go play. I don't know how that's going to work.
Right.
Jacob on Off the Bench says that baseball will get it figured out. So by the time the following Olympics, so 32, that baseball could potentially have a pause in the season. I said, well, we have 4 years to figure it out. You have the rest of 2024, and you have 4 years to get it figured out. As far as that's concerned, I think I would agree with him that they would wait till 32 before Major League Baseball does a pause in their season, like you see in the WNBA. I think that because it's in the United States, if there was ever a time to make an exception, to find a way to have the USA represented by the best Major League Baseball American-born players, then go do it.
They already do the World Championships, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's usually right before the season. Correct? So, but yeah, I hope that that's the case. I just think that because it's in the States, that's why they'll find a way to get
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I was going to ask you, would you rather them get the best of the minor league players to represent Team USA?
Like the Futures game? Yeah. I mean, and that's a very good chance that ends up being the case. But we've already, you've seen, you would like to think that some of the best players would want to do that. And I just think you're going to have more of a lot. rather than have to go out of the country to do it, it's right here. It's
Right.
in the United States. So that might lead to more of a clamoring for it, but that would have to, make baseball, with the All-Star game. So the All-Star game has been announced. The furthest out that the All-Star game has been announced is 26, and I think that's in Philadelphia. So no All-Star game has been announced. So you either move the All-Star game, don't have one, but I highly doubt that because that's a moneymaker.
Yeah, big moneymaker. And your TV partner is going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah. So we'll see what ends up coming to that. So baseball and softball, cricket and squash, lacrosse. I shared on the show earlier today. I went to high school in Van Wert, and your sports there, your tracks and your baseballs, softballs, swimming, wrestling, basketball, football, whatever. Lacrosse, I was like, lacrosse. There's no lacrosse where we're from, like up north. So moving to Dayton, I didn't realize how big lacrosse was over here. Like a lot of the bigger schools, GWAC was a lot of the. I mean, it doesn't matter. GWAC. I'm just saying a lot of the GWAC schools that we work with for high school football. I know a lot of them have lacrosse teams. Like lacrosse is common over here. Lacrosse is very popular. Lacrosse is actually very fun to watch. I've watched Ohio State's lacrosse team before going to watch a baseball. They were watching the lacrosse team before baseball, and then all that stuff is fun. So I like lacrosse, but that'll be a new one that's added starting in 28.
I'm here for it. I would say lacrosse it would be, let me see, football, hockey, rugby, then lacrosse, probably the most physical sports out there. Like, I mean, shoot, you watch rugby during the Olympics, like it's basically tackle football without pads, which is insane.
Yeah. So, and then the last one that'll be added in 2028 in Los Angeles, we already saw the commercial with Jalen Hurts, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Throwing the ball up to the what is that called? I mean, he was at the Rose Bowl, right? And
he was at the Coliseum.
The Coliseum, I'm sorry.
Coliseum.
And throws it up, obviously. So, flag football.
Oh man, this is gonna be so awesome.
I'm not a Joe Burrow in a Bengals uniform fan, but Joe Burrow, who's been vocal about it, I think that'd be pretty damn cool. Joe Burrow and some of the, maybe Jamar Chase's holdout will be done by then. But no, like I think that would be so cool. That would be so unique and have the biggest stars in football go. But like that'll be like when we watched the Dream Team. When there was a clip the other day that talked about how much better basketball is today than when the Dream Team was going around. I didn't know their very first Dream Team game that was out there. It looked like players like me. No, white. No. I just mean like short, unathletic, just like a YMCA team is pretty wild. I feel like that's what's going to happen with flag football, right? Like what in the world is that going to look like against other countries?
They got 4 years to get ready. My question is, do you think NFL players are going to play in this? I don't think so. I don't think like
this would be,
for quote unquote allowed to play.
It would be overlapping with camp. I don't know how that would.
It's gonna be
if it's the same time as right now.
Yeah.
Like, look, it just got done. We're 2 weeks into camp. We just had the Olympics wrapped up on the first week of preseason.
Right.
The NFL plans accordingly. You move the season, but no, I don't see how you do
it's gonna be players that are recently retired.
This is the XFL.
No, it's gonna be recently retired players. So like just say like, hey man, Tariq Hill retired in 2 years from now, and then like, oh man, the Olympics, I'm going to be on the flag football team. Like I could see that recently retired players playing. I don't see pro NFL players being allowed to do this. Like you just talked about, camp is going on, getting ready for the season. You think freaking Coach Tomlin is going to be like, hey man, go ahead, George Pickens, go out there and run some routes. We're working on our new QB, but you go ahead and there and run some routes with those guys. Have some fun. Go win yourself a gold medal.
Yeah, Tom Brady will be 35 by then.
Yeah,
because he's aging in reverse, so he should be old enough to, So there you go. Aaron Rodgers might be retired by then.
Aaron Rodgers, Tariq Hill, Devontae Adams.
Yeah, so like you got to think even those old dudes in their 30s.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, it would still be star
absolutely,
yeah,
superstars. I mean, I don't know if you remember this show. I think it was called Pros versus Joes.
Yep.
And Michael Irvin was on there, and you saw Michael Irvin in what's the movie Longest Yard?
Yep.
Jacked he was. He hadn't played in the NFL in like 12 years. Like Michael Irvin coming here right now, beat both our butts.
Shannon Sharp. In fact, I'd still put money on Shannon Sharp.
Exactly. I think it'll be cool. I think it's going to be real cool with recently retired NFL players.
Probably just as entertaining. Because you get the nostalgia of the guys that just retired and hung it up. And
they're on TV more, doing podcasts. We see their faces. We know who they are.
Maybe Antonio Brown.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe Antonio Brown and Shannon Sharp on the same team.
Tweeting during the game.
Probably not. Yeah, man. But you know what I think will happen too is I think that flag football will be such a success. I do think that like I just want to see that implemented with the Pro Bowl weekend. Yeah. I want to see the old timers come back, and by old timers, I mean recently retired, come back and have some fun, and just make that worthwhile, make that worth watching, nonetheless. All right, it's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Good stuff there. All right, so Jamar Chase, we touched on it a little bit. Want to continue with that when we come back. Brendan Ayuk, possibly a Steeler. No, this is not a repeat segment from last week. That deal was closed and put to bed, and then it came back to life again. It sounds like a deal is now it's in San Fran's hands. It sounds like Brendan Ayuk and the Steelers have agreed on their end, which that's the most crucial part. Because last week it was the Browns had a deal that the Niners liked. The Steelers had a deal that the Niners liked. The Patriots had a deal that the Niners liked, but Ayuk didn't like any of it. It sounds like now there is an opportunity to get something done because San Fran signed or Ayuk has signed off on it now. According to Ian Rappaport, they are just waiting on the Steelers. CeeDee Lamb, the drama in Dallas. You have Hassan Reddick, the drama going on with the Jets. I mean, a lot to talk about when we come back. Yeah, more Kinner and Kev next. right, we welcome you back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. What up, Roger? All caps, Roger. Says, what up, Kinner and Kev?
What up, though?
All caps, Roger. I'm going to forget the first. So he came over from the Chatterbox crowd, and I remember the first couple times he would message into the show, I beef with him because he was all caps. I thought he was yelling at me. And that's not a joke. I literally thought, like, why is this guy yelling at me? So I was being real, like, social media sensitive over here. Like, why is he yelling at me in all caps? But that's just, he's all caps Roger. He just talks in all caps. So he says, what up, Kinner and Kev? He also said the Reds are not back. Don't fall for that winning game one trick as far as that's concerned. He said always capping, he said. So there you go. Let's see. Where was Tim Sizemore? He says rooting against Team USA is almost as bad as being from Cleveland and rooting for the Steelers. What about Tim Sizemore?
Off the top rope. Oh, that was a good one. I like that. I like that.
In the paint.
Man, it got dunked on like LeBron. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So, but yeah, what's the name of that player that the Cavs are looking at?
Don't get me to lying. I can't pronounce his name.
I can't pronounce it either. I usually can make up something, but nonetheless. But I mean, that's what's kind of cool too about those Olympic Games is some of those players from the countries that do show out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're kind of on. It's not a tryout, but I mean, you show out on the biggest stage like that. What was that? Was it 17 million or something crazy? It was like a
crazy
huge number. It was the most watched gold medal game since '96, which coincidentally enough, the Dream Team. There you go.
Dream Team 2 down there in Atlanta. I've always said this. I've always said that Dream Team 2 would beat the original Dream Team. And people look at me crazy. And I just look at them and say, well, Scottie Pippen was better than he was in 92. Well, they didn't have Michael Jordan. I was like, yeah, that's right. But they had Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
It's like Dream Team, like everybody, like and this is a mark on my Jordanism or whatever, but like I've always said Dream Team 2 is better than Dream Team 1. You have a then retired Magic Johnson who came out of retirement and played great. You had an old Larry Bird. Everybody on Dream Team 2, prime of their career. Everybody, prime of their career. Everybody on Dream Team 1, 92 team, not the prime of their career. So I'm rolling with Dream Team 2 as the best Dream Team.
Is this Dream Team 3? Is this or is the Redeem Team?
Redeem Team is probably, for me, I would probably pick them second.
I agree, just because you have Kobe. You have LeBron, you had D-Wade, you had a lot of, amazing talent. You had Durant, right?
No, KD was not on
Durant.
that team.
That was 08, you're right. That was right as he was coming into the league.
Yeah, that was the year. That was when Melo was dropping 40 off the bench every night.
Kobe was the reason. LeBron, that was prime LeBron. LeBron, Jesus. If this is not prime LeBron, it's not. But I'm just saying, like, my God, he's good. But Kobe, to me, was the difference maker with that, too.
100%.
But this team beats 96 team that some are saying out there?
No. 90, okay. For me, it goes 96, Redeem Team, probably this team, and then the original Dream Team.
See, I'm not getting into that. Look, it's that gets into that still, because all it is a setup to get into what I've banned from this show. You banned it.
I didn't say the original Dream Team. I said 96 team. They got Shaq. So. They got Shaq.
By the way, you brought up Magic Johnson coming out of retirement to come back to that Olympic team.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, the Olympics, Los Angeles. I don't think LeBron is still playing in the league in 2028, but the dude is still nearly averaging 30. He's nearly averaging a triple-double at 40 years old. He would be 39? He'd be 43 years old at that point. I don't know if I'd put money LeBron still being in the league at that time. Also wouldn't put it past him.
Right.
But I still think there's a good chance LeBron plays. If LeBron could find a way to stretch out his career 4 more years to retire that season, or to retire in 2027, that 2027-28 season, retire, and then say, hey, by the way, my final basketball go-around will be that Olympics. I could see that, just depending what version of LeBron is still around at that point. And I think it's possible. I still think by that point, if a 22-5-4 LeBron is still at that level, I still think that's good enough to have him on to get that fourth gold. But I could see because it's in LA. It all goes back to that too. Because if he's still with the Lakers, which I think he will be, he'll retire a Laker. Well, might retire a Cav, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think he'll retire with the Lakers, right after as far as NBA playing days are concerned. But then say, hey, my final send off is I'm going to do one more round with the Team USA, and then retire after that.
I'll say this. I got two things about LeBron and that. One, I'm done doubting LeBron on how long he can play because obviously it looks like he can play forever. Shouts out to Bron. Two, if the women's team can keep Diana Taurasi on the team to get her an additional gold medal, Team USA men's team can do that for LeBron James.
Yeah, and Jason Tatum needs someone to sit next to.
By then, Jason Tatum should be getting LeBron's minutes. LeBron should be sitting there counting his money.
No, I saw a joke that said that Mama Tatum's already looking for another team to take him to.
Well, I think she worked. I forget what bank she works for. I believe she was like a financial advisor. So, she's about that money.
So that'll be just something interesting to keep an eye on. I think that because it's in LA, I could see him doing one more go round as far as that's concerned. But, Father Time will have a lot to say about that. All right. It's Kenner and Kev show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We welcome you back. JJ McCarthy with the meniscus issue. I haven't seen the most recent update. I know that he will miss quite a lot. Is it out for the season?
It's not out for the season.
But a procedure will be done to determine the severity of this, correct? It is a meniscus tear. It's just how much of it was tore?
Yeah, so in my perspective is if he's getting this situation done, the surgery done, I'm sorry, you don't want to rush this. Like, he's your first-round rookie quarterback. Take it slow. I mean, it wasn't like he was balling out in training camp per reports. So there's no need to rush him back and put him out there and risk further injury. Get the surgery, let him take his time. And honestly, I think this probably be the best thing for him that, he's not rushed to be out there on the field and people want to see him out there and then he kind of flames out. You can go ahead and let Sam Darnold, go out there and do Sam Darnold things. He's probably going to throw 20 touchdowns and throw 15 interceptions. Then you can come back the next season. You got basically a red shirt year. And you can come be the savior.
See, or Sam Darnold leads them to a bunch of losses. And they can draft a real quarterback next draft and just count their losses. No, but JJ McCarthy, look, I didn't pull for I'm not pulling for any injury to any player, but football karma starting to kind of rear its head in there. I know I'm risking sounding a little heartless here. I'm not happy that he got hurt, but I'm just saying, you look at Harbaugh over with the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert, I'm a fan of Justin Herbert. I like Justin Herbert, but, Harbaugh takes over a team with a franchise quarterback, and that could be an injury that lingers with him for the season as well. So, the luck that these guys had in college, I think they've run out of luck, and they've already run into some bad luck to start their NFL careers or restarted, I guess, as far as that's concerned. By the way, I did see this with the Harbaugh thing. Jim Harbaugh – me and you have been on the air since it was announced that he was going to be the honorary captain. So Jim Harbaugh was announced that he was going to be the honorary captain for Michigan for their home opener. Okay. And I just thought, as a guy who enjoys and really can respect pettiness and appreciate a certain level of it, I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious, but I also thought it was typical Michigan, right? Like, they've basically made a mockery of this entire investigation to begin with. Why wouldn't they have Jim Harbaugh show up as an honorary captain? But according to On3 earlier this afternoon, Jim Harbaugh will no longer serve as an honorary captain for Michigan's season opener, according to Sharon Moore, who told that to the media earlier today. Here's what I think is happening. Okay, here's what I think is happening with this. For one, good. He does not need to be there for that. Okay. I think right now Michigan is doing everything that they can to cooperate with the NCAA.
Oh,
I think that they're doing everything that they can. And I think that although it was very, very petty, I think that I saw Sharon Moore's message earlier today saying that, he can't wait for the tweets or for the text to be released. The once deleted tweets or text, I'm sorry, that were then he had to pay a company to go and redig them out. So they got them back. So they've resurfaced. When that report is released, he apparently today said he can't wait for everyone to see it. Like, here's the deal. Just even if the texts aren't hiding anything, which, again, why would you delete them to begin with? But that's besides the point. I just feel like now it's like, you want the text, they're yours. Oh, Harbaugh coming to be an honorary captain. That seems like it's mocking you. Okay, that's going to piss you off. Okay, fine. He won't come anymore. Right? Like, I just think it was silly to even announce that he was going to do that, or even think that it was okay to do that to begin with. I know they live in this delusional world as if they've done nothing wrong, but even if you think you've done nothing wrong, maybe don't have the typical arrogance and the stupidity to think that maybe mocking the group, the league or the NCAA that's investigating you, maybe not mocking them in the process. They did come down pretty hard on Harbaugh. I know you could say that if he was still at Michigan, it wouldn't have been that harsh. The bottom line is, I think they were rattling the cage a little bit of Michigan, saying, hey, this is just for the hamburger Boogergate. Imagine what we're going to do when we finally close the book on your cheating asses. Like, I'm just saying. So I don't know, Kev. To me, the vibe is, oh, crap, we probably might have gone a little too far with the Harbaugh as our honorary captain. Do you agree? Why all of a sudden would they ask him? Why would he agree? And now they're saying he's not going to be there, and him saying he's going to be all in the bunker, the foxhole alone for the Chargers. You agreed to already do it, mofo. Now you're not. Like, stop acting like now you have morals. It's kind of weird to me.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious, man. I think you're 100% correct. You're poking the bear, and the bear finally did something about it. And now you're like, well, wait a minute. What if they actually do come down with the hammer? What if they actually do come back and take back this national championship? And then we'll be stuck with no national championship since 1997. Like, so, okay, fine. We'll predicate. We'll play your games. Another thing about it for me, it just shows how much football dominates.
Yep.
Because if this was basketball and we've seen Michigan have problems with basketball, I know I always go back to the Fab Five era with, Juwan Howard, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, and all the guys, and Chris Webber and stuff like that. But they also have problems after those guys left, from Lewis Bullock to Tractor Trailer. Like, they've had issues with the basketball team, and they've always basically, hey, whatever you guys want, NCAA, hey, whatever you want. But when it comes to this football team, they were fists up. They were fighting tooth and nail to keep whatever they had going on. So it speaks to the power of football. It speaks to the money that football brings to that university. So now probably is the time just to take a step back, recalibrate, take the lump, and keep pushing.
Yeah, Michigan coming out in the top 10 in the AP top 25. I don't think that poll matters a whole lot, but it does show that Michigan, although I don't put a lot of stock into them, every poll, every talking head out there, including you, although there's 3 losses that I think we've all circled just because the firepower of their schedule. 9-3 is the projected record for Michigan. Well, they're spending so much time trying to defend last year and pretend that they did nothing wrong, and they're doing the distraction stuff with Harbaugh. I think that they have a shot. Yeah. They have a shot. You pull off an upset in one of those 3 expected losses, you're a 2-loss team. You might be flirting, finding yourself in a situation where you may not be in the Big Ten title game, but you might be in a position to make the playoffs still. Maybe you should start focusing on that. And stop focusing on the past as far as that's concerned. But we'll see what ends up happening there.
You said 3 losses?
I saw 3 losses. Let me pull up that schedule.
Okay, I see where they're going.
I think Texas, they got.
Yeah, so Fresno State, Texas.
So Texas a loss, Ohio State's a loss, and I forgot the
Arizona State, USC, Minnesota, at Washington, bye week, at Illinois, Michigan State, Oregon, November 2nd, at Indiana, bye week, Northwestern, V.
So Ohio State, Texas, and Oregon are the 3 losses I have for sure, and USC is a coin flip for me. USC is the coin flip.
I know I am the person on the island.
Yep.
Actually,
you were higher on that, yeah.
I'm higher on Michigan than a lot of other people are this upcoming season. Issue 2, baby.
Yeah. And
funny enough, I have an Oregon Ducks hat on today. I am lower on Oregon than everybody else. Really? I just don't. I'm going to stand firm on this. I believe that there's going to be a rematch in the Big Ten championship game with Ohio State and Michigan.
I would not mind that. But I don't want them to have success either. I'm point too, because then you'll have Shaw and everyone else. See, are we still cheating? Probably. Just find out a new way to do it. I'm just saying no, but nonetheless,
2 losses to Texas and to Ohio State, and then they play in the Big Ten championship game versus Ohio State.
So you have them beating Oregon and
I
USC.
have them beating Oregon and USC for sure. Definitely got them beating USC. I got them beating the crap out of USC. Actually,
what up? Shaw says 3 losses. He does have them losing to Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. And Shaw and I agree on everything.
I know. Best buds.
Oh yeah. What up, Shaw? But all right, Kenner and Kev show 1410 ESPN Radio. Paul Keels with a Buckeye camp update coming up around the corner. Plus, is there actually a quarterback battle in Columbus? Is this charade continuing? We'll discuss that after the Ohio State camp report with Paul Keels next. All right, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We were laughing during the break. I said, man, like Marty Brenneman's voice with Reds baseball, when you would hear Marty's voice on the air, you felt baseball. You could just feel baseball. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Paul Keels. When you hear those deep tones of Paul Keels, you just feel football. Football season, that was our Buckeye report, by the way. Training camp report. We'll have one of those for you every day, all the way lead up to kickoff. By the way, we'll have our season preview show next Monday night, so keep that in mind. Excited about that. But Ohio State kicks off the season a week from this Saturday. Ohio State, Akron, and you'll catch Ohio State all season long right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. That is not a noon kick. That is a 3:30 kickoff. So
nice.
There you go. We're getting back into some college football stuff coming up here in just a moment, but injuries have been the big talk of camp early on, which that's what you expect. That's the unfortunate part about the NFL training camp and just preseason, how long it is. It's a grueling little stretch. You're not only physically trying to get in shape, but physically stay in shape because, well, football, we forget it's a physical sport.
Yep.
J.J. McCarthy, regardless of the fact that I don't support him. I think he's a cheating quarterback that cheated to win a national championship. I do not like that his season is done or could potentially be done because of a meniscus issue. I think that's horrible. I absolutely hate that. But other injuries around the NFL, Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs, a hamstring issue that he's battling with the Lions. J.J. McCarthy, as we talked about, wide receiver Malik Neighbors, the ankle issue with the Giants. Marquise Hollywood Brown, sternovascular joint issue, out 4 to 6 weeks. That's big. It's not like he's a wide receiver one for anybody, but when you don't have the most explosive wide receiver core in Kansas City and no one feels sorry for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that's a big deal. Rondale Moore, the knee issue with the Falcons, I think he's out for the year, right? Like I think he got bumped out for the year. Josh Downs, ankle wide receiver for the Colts, and then Christian McCaffrey dealing with the calf issue right now. That is not good. The calf issue, as Bengals fans well know, the calf issue is no joke,
right?
As far as that's concerned. Let's see. And then Amarius Mims, who has been dominant for the Bengals, the rookie tackle, of course, through camp. He's going to miss some time. Zach Taylor came out and said that, it's going to be, a few weeks. He wouldn't really commit to how long as far as that's concerned. But again, we're talking about a pectoral issue.
Yeah.
A pec issue, like I'm not saying a hamstring issue is good, but like a hamstring issue, you could let that rest and whatever. But like a pec issue, that's where all your strength is coming down. I mean, that's not all your strength, but you know what I mean? You're putting a lot of force on that when you are a strong, ginormous tackle like he is. I hope it's just several weeks, as Zach Taylor overemphasized. It's just several, but we're going to have a conversation that we had earlier today with Solomon Wilcots. He believes he may not even be available for week 1.
Ouch. Your first round pick, somebody you basically penciled into the starting lineup the day you drafted him. That's a major blow. Like you said, a pec muscle, like that's not a broken hand. That's not a torn ankle where like, hey man, you just tape it up and you go out there and play. Like you're expected to use your arms and your hands and your muscles and your chest to protect the quarterback in open run lanes. It's a devastating blow for the Bengals.
Unfortunate news, former Buckeye Michael Hall, Cleveland Browns. Okay. This guy was getting a ton of praise out of camp. He was killing it at camp. He was having a dominant camp. Don't care anymore. Report that came out today, a domestic violence issue. I don't know if he's still a Brown at this exact moment, but when you look at what he's being charged with and you look at the report that came out on what he's being charged or accused of, I don't anticipate him being a Brown much longer. He had a lot of marks on his basically question marks surrounding his character and stuff for off the field issues. Everyone knew what kind of freak athlete he was on the field, but there was a lot of concerns about his stuff off the field during the camp evaluation or during the draft evaluation. This was a guy that should have been drafted a lot higher than what he was, but fell in the draft because of character concerns and issues. And I hate the character reports at draft time. I just always feel like they're, hit pieces on these guys. And I'm just like, man, can these guys just enjoy letting the talents that they put on full display in college, can they just enjoy being drafted? I hate those reports, but you cannot ignore the correlation between those reports and the guys that ultimately have issues come their time in the league. And I hate that. I do, because it makes it bad for everyone else when those hit pieces hurt the wrong people during the camp or draft evaluation.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad business. I mean, you go ahead and read the reports for yourself. What he's accused of is definitely bad. And, I'm not like a huge social media person like that, but like the people out there that are making jokes about the situation, about, you know, not the situation that happened, but it's just like, hey, your team employs a type of guy that does it. This isn't a joking matter. Thank goodness I've never had to deal with domestic violence in the household that I grew up in, but I can still feel empathy for those that have had to deal with that. And I'm sure this is triggering for a lot of people out there. So it's not a joking matter. And you know what? I don't necessarily believe he'll be released from the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it was a 2nd round pick. Now, if he was like a 5th round pick, 6th round pick, 7th round pick, undrafted free agent, absolutely. But they spent a lot of capital on. I mean, he was their first draft pick in the draft because they didn't have a 1st round pick. I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to ultimately, you know, keep him on the roster because of the high talent that he has, and just deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think that's the first time they made that decision. But the problem is
that happens across all realms of sports.
I'm not a fan of that. I think like Andrew Berry has done a fantastic job constructing rosters. But, and I've said this before, the Browns have had a very good run recently with some high character, very good dudes. The careers of Nick Chubb, the careers of Myles Garrett, David Njoku, Mari Cooper, these are stand-up dudes who have been very quiet off the field, who let their play do the talking. And all of that's been overshadowed because of Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see a pattern of continuing to make exceptions for guys that they have talent and yada, yada. Now, again, Deshaun Watson, found guilty of anything? No. Has this guy been found guilty of anything? No. But there comes a certain point where the noise can't always be worth, you know, the talent can't always be worth the noise as far as that's concerned. I'm very curious to see what they do here. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him and just kind of let it ride out a bit. But man, you read that report. I don't want that. I don't I don't care. I don't care about any of that stuff at that point. That's messed up. But
yeah, he's he's born and raised in Cleveland, played for the Buckeyes, going to play for the hometown Cleveland Browns. Like, you know, looking like it was a dream come true. It was the team he grew up rooting for, being the Cleveland Browns. And now you find himself in this situation. And according to the reports, it was all his doing. So it's just a crazy situation.
Yeah, not good. Not good at all. Okay. So Jamar Chase, it's been a hold in since the beginning of camp. Has it officially reached a holdout? That's the big thing that we'll be keeping an eye on. He did not report to practice today. The Bengals will head to Chicago for joint practices the rest of the week before their preseason game against the Bears this coming up weekend. But we talked about all that and more. Solomon Wilcots, former Cincinnati Bengal, was our guest on Off the Bench earlier this afternoon. If you missed it, we have it coming up next. Former Bengal Solomon Wilcots talking Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Amarius Mims injury, Zach Taylor's approach to the preseason. Where do the Bengals stack up in the very stacked AFC North? We have all of that coming your way.